What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host that's wondering why Jack in the Box's curly fries taste like hush puppies, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/ProRevenge, with a couple little small stories from r/Petty Revenge, because the first story from ProRevenge is super long, and I don't want to read another long story after a super long one, so I have to have two really short ones. The balance is about. Alright, tally-ho, here's the first story. It's called The Karen That Breeds Minion Karens. This all happened around Christmas, New Year's, but I just found this sub and am obsessed with it now, so I have to give my story. My grandparents immigrated to Canada from Italy in the 70s and opened up a restaurant. When they passed away, the restaurant went to my parents. Over the decades, they grew and expanded it. I've been working at the restaurant since I was 15. Over time, my parents got older and eventually retired, becoming snowbirds, go to Florida for the winters. They left the restaurant to me about a few years ago, but still retaining a small percentage of ownership as an additional revenue stream along with their savings and annuities. Soon as I gained control, I pretty much modernized the old place. Remodeled the restaurant, changed the logo, reached out to the local and national papers to put out ads, invited food critics, bloggers, vloggers, etc. It was very slow at first, and I began to worry that the loan I took out to do all this was the biggest mistake I had ever done, and I ruined 3 generations of my family business, but eventually it began to work, and a local semi-famous YouTuber featured us in one of his videos, and that was the catalyst for more people to come over and review, and eventually we were seeing 5 to 10 times the business we usually get, even if it's a Monday. We became a hot spot for major events, and it wasn't uncommon for a celebrity to come. On those nights, I even arranged for special high-profile chefs to visit and cook for our guests. Cost a fortune. So, during the holidays, we were beyond packed. It got to the point where people would have had to make reservations in July to get a table in December. This process took years to get where we are now. When it gets busy, I don't just sit in the back office. I'm on the floor doing whatever needed to be done. Even if that means I greet people, bussing tables, or even mopping the floors. Other nights when we have high-profile guests or events, I'm in a blazer and am acting in charge though. On one night, a group of 6 women walk in. 5 of them looked to be in their early 20s, and the head of the group looked like she was in her mid-20s. Best theory is that she was one of the other 4 girls' older sisters, or a possible older sorority sister to incoming college freshmen maybe. I was greeting at the door. As they were walking up, Queen Bee Karen was telling the baby Karens on how this place is awesome, food is amazing, and there might even be celebrities here. When she came up to me, she told me she needed a table for 6. I replied, "Of course, can I get the name on the reservation?" She looked at me and said, "Oh, I didn't make one, but it's okay. The owner is a personal friend of mine. He said he always has 1 or 2 tables that he keeps open for special guests, and said we can have one of those tonight." Now, generally, this is true of many high-profile restaurants, and lately I have been doing that as well. But I had no clue who this woman was, and she definitely never spoke to me about any of this. I did get she was trying to get in without a reservation, but she literally picked the worst person she could possibly talk to and try this. I told her, "I'm sorry, but we cannot seat anyone without a reservation. As you can see, we do not have any seats available." I didn't want to go all out and say I'm the owner and we have never spoken before, so I never promised you a thing, because I don't want to embarrass her in front of the other girls she was with at first. She then went on and said out loud to one of the other girls to take a picture of me. She will speak to the owner and make sure I'm either cleaning the toilet or fired by the end of the week. The other girls following her lead were like, "Yeah, kiss your minimum wage job goodbye." I'm not sure if they were in on it with her or they honestly thought she knew the owner. Queen Bee Karen then went on and said, "Look, can you just give us a table or I can make life very difficult for you. This is not worth losing your job." Constantly pointing, just trying to put me down, saying things like, "Obviously you aren't anyone here because if you were, you would know who I am and never even try to tell me anything other than yes or no, of course." Constantly trying to belittle me and get that table. At this point, it was a long day for me, and the way I saw it, I had 3 options. 1, tell her I'm the owner and just call her out on all of this. 2, just give her the table and let it be. 3, teach Queen Bee Karen and her little minions a lesson. I chose option 3 for various reasons, including some personality flaws I'm aware that I have, but I like to think it was at least 50% really wanting to teach her a lesson. I smiled at her, said, "Of course, ma'am, follow me please," and I gave her one of the 3 tables we keep open in case a celebrity comes in. Happens time to time. I told her I apologized for everything, and she is right. It would be simpler to just give her the table. I also told her that the first 3 rounds of drinks will be complimentary. I sat them down and personally served them. As they were sitting down, I told them we do need one of your credit cards and IDs just to keep on file, and we will give it back to you before you leave. Queen Karen gave me her cards and told the baby Karen minions that tonight was on her. I took their orders and got them their free drinks and told them due to how busy we are tonight, there might be a delay on the food. All the girls were thinking of and cared about were there were free rounds. They ordered their 3 rounds and still no food. They eventually called me and asked me to check on it the whole time, giving me the world's most nasty attitude since even before they ordered. I told them I will check on it, but also asked if they would like any more drinks. They ordered 2 more rounds by the time the appetizers arrived. At this point, they are all drunk, having done nothing but drink on an empty stomach most of the night, and only having salads after. As more food arrives, the more drinks are ordered. What these girls never realized was that they are at our VIP table, which alone costs a few thousand just to sit in, but I didn't charge them for that. What I did charge them for was all the super expensive cocktails they had throughout the whole night, except for the first 3 rounds. In addition, the table they were sitting in, as mentioned, was VIP, so the menus were a bit different. For one, they don't say the prices on them, trade secret, and in addition, it had certain higher-end menu options, such as white truffle, black caviar dishes, and specially imported West Coast oysters, among other things. At one point in the night, I was honestly rethinking what I was doing and thought I might be going too far with these poor girls that might not know any better, but some things reassured me throughout the night. Such as one of the baby Karens asking me if I felt like my life was worthless since all I ever became was a waiter. Also, one of my other employees told me how they were discussing how to screw with me to the point that they can just do this whenever they want and I will always give them a table. I also overheard them say, "He's cute, but I would never date a waiter like that. He's such a pushover." There were a bunch of comments like that the whole night, so I kept on with their life lesson. By the end of the night, each girl racked up a bill in the range of $500 to $600 per girl. When I handed the Queen Karen the bill of $4,232.23 with tax, and tip included of course, I have never seen anyone sober up so quickly. She went from laughing and giggling with her friends to nearly in tears. She called me over instantly and asked if this was some kind of joke. I took the bill, looked it over and said, "Oh yes, I apologize. I will get you the correct bill in a moment." Again, she felt a complete sense of relief thinking she got someone else's bill, called me a freaking idiot, and went on talking to her friends. To be fair, I did make a mistake. I did forget to count her 8th order of a dozen oysters that cost about $120 per order. So I gladly just went back and added it to the order. When I went back to give her the correct bill, she flipped out again, going crazy. I just asked if there was something on this bill that she didn't order. She and the girls, in shock, go over every single line of the bill, including the first few lines that show their original 3 rounds which say complimentary. They then took out their phones and, line by line, went over everything, line by line, for the 100th time, adding everything up. Extremely rattled, Queen Bee Karen simply said, "1 second, I need to use the washroom." Part of me thought that she might just pull a dine and dash and leave the baby Karens with the bill, but kinda low-key I did in a way remind her we had her ID and credit card without making it obvious. I thought she was going to run out on the bill. 10 minutes later, she comes back with new makeup, obviously she has been crying, and makes up a whole story on how the food was awful, the drinks were bad, and so on, demanding that as bare minimum, I should cut the bill in half with the agreement the baby Karens will chip in, even though she originally told them the night would be on her. Then, as if a light bulb went off in her head, she again mentioned her relationship with the owner as if it were to give me additional incentive to cut the bill in half. Holding back a grin at this point, I told her no, just no, I can't change the bill. She whips out her phone and shows me a series of texts with someone called my restaurant's name owner, which pretty much I realized was what she was doing in the bathroom, just probably changed one of the other Karen Minion's contact name and deleted previous texts to start this new script. I read them, then clicked on the contact info and told her that's not the owner's cell number. Her reply was, "He has multiple phones for business and stuff. Of course you don't know all his numbers." I remember this girl thought of everything except that I'm the actual owner. I told her, "How about this? If we call him and he says that it's okay to take 50% off the bill, then I'll do it." Her reply was a yelling and screaming over the time where the few remaining customers all began to start looking, and I knew, okay, time to end this. I told her already in a less accommodating voice, "Cut the crap, little girl. You don't know the owner. You've never even been here before, and if you keep yelling, I will call the police." Her demeanor changed, and she was trying to defend herself the best she could. My reply to her weak comebacks was, "My grandparents founded this restaurant. My family has been running this place for generations. I have worked here almost my entire life. I am the one and only owner. This restaurant and I have never once seen you, heard of you, and I definitely never made a stranger I don't know and have never met before tonight any promises." The mini Karens were just frozen and didn't even know how to react. Queen Bee Karen was in tears. I said, "I gave you the table, you wanted one of your specially reserved tables for high-end clients, which I didn't charge you for, and I gave you 3 rounds of free drinks. If you don't pay your bill, I will call the cops and hand them your ID." In tears, Queen Karen signed the bill and the mini Karens took out their purses to give her whatever cash they had in hand, which equaled to maybe a couple of hundred, with the promise to pay her back more. 2 days later, a man walks into my restaurant fuming and asks one of my bartenders to speak to me. I was in the back office for a bit working, so he waited a good half hour for me. He was Queen Bee Karen's father. She was with him too, keeping her head down. I took them both to my office, showed him highlights of the security cameras, which were especially good quality of audio because they were in the VIP, which we had to keep good records of because we have had other unrelated incidents before. So I showed him most of it, their comments, their orders, their everything. When all was said and done and he stormed out with her and was screaming at her the whole time they were walking away. Haven't seen or heard from either of them since. But the original bill I gave them, the one that didn't count the $120 oysters, is framed on my desk. Side note, I didn't lose as much overhead on the table in 3 rounds as you might think. The table was originally supposed to be empty, so I didn't lose anything, since I didn't expect to gain anything to begin with. And the overhead for the food and other drinks more than covered the loss of the 3 free first rounds. I thought about posting this on Nuclear Revenge, but I read some of the stories there and I think making this girl pay a few thousand and giving her a life lesson doesn't qualify. Some of the revenge there is life-ending revenge stories and losses in the tens or hundreds of thousands. Edit. Jeez, there are some serious Karens DMing me and stuff. Guys, yes, there are posts in my histories about questions about a job at a bank. Last year, my ex's brother fell on really hard times and he went to live with us for a few months. He's also a Reddit user. He posted when using my PC, which I didn't and don't care about. Choose to believe it or not, here's my story and enjoy it. Dropping mic, walking away. I'm not going to drop my mic. That is ridiculous. Do not drop microphones, guys. Unless it was like specifically built to be dropped, don't drop it. You're going to ruin it. Seriously, they're expensive. And as for this revenge story, very, very good. That's some good tasteful revenge. Didn't go too far at all. Like, the girl literally got what was coming to her. Like, she ordered these things, she's gonna have to pay for them, and she was a jerk, so yes, he could have explained that she probably isn't financially well enough for a VIP section table. But of course, she insisted. She was friends with the owner. So, there we go. Alright guys, here we have revenge of the petty variety. Don't throw your gloves on the ground. Quick and simple petty revenge. I leave the grocery store this morning for my family's essentials, and as I'm loading my car, lady next to me takes off her gloves and threw them on the ground. Miss, don't litter. I'm given the sailor salute and she gets in her car. So I just walk over, pick up her gloves, lift up her windshield wipers, and jam them through and smack it down. I can see her shouting and going crazy in her car. Don't care, get in mine and drive off. Don't freaking litter buttholes. I don't know about you, but I'd never litter a butthole. Those are hard to come by. But not in Indiana because it's on your United States map. This story's called Spotify Hacker Got a Surprise. I noticed my Spotify had a PS4 with a German name connected to it, which is odd because I don't have a PS4. Spotify was unable to disconnect me from it using my account, so I decided to take it into my own hands and blast Attila at full volume on their PS4 at midnight Germany time. I think they may have been in-game since they let it go for a few seconds, then attempted going to the next previous songs and pausing it a few times, to no avail. Eventually, they uninstalled Spotify and I changed my password, but damn that felt good. I imagine that did. It reminds me, one time my older cousin, she had a Netflix account, and me being a broke teenager with no money, hence me being a broke teenager, I wanted to use her Netflix account, and she let me, and I had a profile on there, and I was very far into The Flash and several other shows. Oh, and Prison Break. I was so far into that show, and then she deleted my profile for her parents to have one without giving me a heads up so I can go ahead and take a picture of where I am in all these freaking shows. And and her parents never ever once used it at all. And now she has a profile on my Hulu account. For how long? Who knows? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.